Welcome to another amazing studio session. Subscribe to the Unjustified Behavior podcast for all of your TV entertainment reviews. We cover movies, anime and animation, TV shows, and more, currently on all streaming platforms. We appreciate all the support and hope you enjoy the review. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to another episode of Unjustified Behaviors. You know what I'm saying? This is the review of Bad Boys Ride or Die. Okay? Bad Boys Ride or Die. Now, this is the fourth installment, if I'm not mistaken. Now, on this platform, the way we're going to do this is, first we're going to have or discuss general knowledge. Our general knowledge, or my general knowledge of the film or series. Right? Just what I know off the top. Then after that, we're going to get into the characters. Then the set, which includes time period, city, scenery, what have you. Then we get into the cinematography, sound, music. Then we get into the plot, right? That incorporates those three main things of the character, set, and cinematography, music and sound. And then we're going to talk about our thoughts, or my thoughts, overall that incorporates all of that. And then we get into the rating and recommendation. Now, these hopefully are around maybe 15 minutes on average, right? So we're not going to get super in-depth, but we will get in-depth enough with the breakdowns to give you a general consensus and knowledge on the film or series, whatever it is that we are reviewing. Okay? So my general knowledge of Bad Boys, which is a series that I know and I'm very familiar with. Been here since the first one. Now, I will go on record to say this. I wasn't going to watch this after the Will Smith. This me being honest, after the Will Smith and Chris Rock situation, right? And Will Smith did get over on me with this one only because he incorporated Martin Lawrence, and I do want to support Martin Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? So, he doesn't do a ton of films or a lot of films. And who knows how many more films that these two guys are going to be doing with each other or solo. So I did want to support. So he got me only because of Martin, and it took me this long because I was still in debate with myself on if I was going to even support it. All right, but this neither here nor there. But that's for context. So the character, well, my general knowledge. Excuse me. Bad Boys. 4 movies, so it's 4 installments currently. If you didn't know, Bad Boys 1, Bad Boys 2, Bad Boys 3. It's not called 3, it's called Bad Boys for Life. And then 4, of course, it's not called 4, it's called Ride or Die. Featuring the 2 main characters of Mike Lowrey and Marcus Burnett, played by Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, as 2 police detectives. In hindsight, I kind of wish they gave us one, not as a prequel, but at least in the beginning, or as the first one when they weren't detective, because since part 1, they've already been detective. You do kind of get intertwined and excited to hear and see the characters. So it'd have been nice to see when they was like on beat police officers, or just when they had to go house to house and do stuff like that, versus being the detective that they are now. I think that would have been a nice contrast versus, you know what I'm saying? Kind of, they probably would have did like a lot of, what was it called? It was a movie with Jake Gyllenhaal and the guy that plays Joker. I'm losing his name right now. In the Watch, I believe. I pictured something kind of like that, you know what I'm saying? But kind of like more comedy, if they ever would have did it prior. I don't want to say it now, but they would have did it prior. All right, so Bad Boys been around for a long time as far as this series go. It is a film series, and this is installment 4. Cool. Characters again. Everything centers around 2 police detectives. Will Smith plays Mike Lowrey. Martin Lawrence plays Marcus Burnett. Will Smith character Mike Lowrey's always been like a bachelor. And Martin Lawrence character Marcus Burnett is married with kids, so he's a family man, and then they play on that dynamic. Martin Lawrence character Marcus Burnett Burnett seems more of the I work hard to provide for my family, and Will Smith character Mike Lowry is, from what I know, he comes from a wealthy background. So as far as I know, in the films, he's always been rich. This is why he drives high-end cars and fancy cars. I think it's family money. I can't remember if they ever actually got in depth throughout the series, or maybe 1 and 2, on how he's actually rich. Like, is he rich real estate? You know what I'm saying? Tycoon or something like that. But I think he comes from family money. I think his family got money. And of course, there are 2 characters went to school together. So that's how they know each other. Right. And here you also have a few other main characters. Well, I ain't gonna say co-main characters, kind of, sort of. And some nice role characters that's real close to like most scenes, so they kind of seem like main characters, but you can call like a main core group of individuals. Which you also have Paula Nunez as Rita, and then you have Alexander Ludwig as Dorn. They're 2 police officers, kind of like in the IT/investigation field, and they back up Mike and Marcus, 2 characters. You do also have Vanessa Hudgens, who plays Kelly, which is like ex-lover of Mike Lowry, who's dating Ian Griffith character Lockwood, who's supposed to be running for mayor. All right, so those 2 also around in that main group, or core main group, or sub-core main group of characters that you'll see continuously, along with Mike Lowry's half Spanish son, or Hispanic son, Armando, played by Jacob Scipio. Right, I could be pronouncing that wrong, but his character name was Armando. That's Mike. I won't say Will Smith's son, Mike Lowry's son, that he had, or that he found out about in Bad Boys 3, aka Bad Boys for Life, with this Hispanic lover or ex-lover who died in that 3rd installment. The son didn't die, but the son's mother died in that 3rd installment. All right. So that's the main characters. Now, let me say this about one of the characters outside of that group that I found kind of weird. It's kind of off-putting, although it didn't affect the story a lot, or the look of it a lot, because they wasn't as broad of a presence as previous installments. Was they did change who plays Marcus Burnett's wife to Tasha Smith. And that's not who has played his wife throughout the last 3 movies. So it was a different look. She is a great actor though, so there's no shade to her, but it did seem a type of way, because it's been about 20 years or so total that we've come along with these same characters, and he's always had the same wife. I can see if it was a running gag that every movie they changed who his wife was or what she looked like, but that's never been the case. I don't know what that situation was, but yeah. Ann Fletcher, played by John Sally, reprises his role as Fletcher in here, and Captain Howard is also in here, like in memory, but you do see him. Also, shout out to Reggie, played by Dennis Green. Reggie put that work in, but we'll get down there. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Reggie. Okay, so it is set. It seems to be set in the current day. I don't see anything about the years that I recall seeing, like on the paper, or them talking about it. What day and year it was. So I'm assuming that that's current day time in the city of Miami, Florida, right? Clearly they by water. Well, it is Florida, but they're by water consistently, and you see that a lot. And you also see some of the nightlife a lot. That's the set piece. Down to cinematography, sound, and music. Now, they did bring back the classic Bad Boy sound, and in some you hear it multiple times throughout. Not the whole song ever, but it is there. And they do different tweaks on it to modernize it, to break it up, like different DJs playing it and things like that. It's always like a key moment when that plays. Also, like one of the key moments is when they sing it and then they forget the words or whatever the case is. Cinematography is excellent. the footage, the recording, the shots in this movie are nothing less than brave. Whatever they're recording with, also crisp. Now I get this is big budget thing, but when you see it, I don't know if I was watching 4K. I don't know if it was just extremely high end 1080. I don't know if it was condensed to 8K. I don't know what it was, but you can see like the pores on people's faces, but it didn't look like it was just raw footage. You know what I'm saying? So who also behind the scenes, shout out to the to the editors, because even the grain that they use and the color grade that they put on these, the palettes that they use had to have used the LUTs. If you don't know what that is, some people say LUTs, that they use for the color. It is vibrant at times, it's colorful at times, and then you really have to see. So shout out to the cinematography, shout out to the coloring, the editor. I want to add that in for the editor. Shout out, because the movie looks nice. The movie just looks nice. So shout out to that. The sounds is typical in this one. Not too much different. A lot of gunshots that you can hear. Actors talk crisp, clear, of course. You know what I mean? It's not a lot of things going on in the background outside of whatever the scene is. But if it's traffic, you hear traffic. If it's, you know what I'm saying? So the sound quality is average. Not to say that it's bad, but not too many scenes where there's things going on in the background that you would have to pay attention to, this, that, and the other, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So a typical scene would be they're on the beach and you really don't hear nothing. Let's say, just figuratively speaking or hypothetically speaking, they're on the beach. You don't hear too much in the beach background. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's part of the actual scene. So like one scene when they're crossing the street, you hear the cars, you hear the people driving the cars yelling at them to get out of the street, get out of traffic, things like that. But that's a part of the scene. Otherwise, if that wasn't a part where they was crossing the street and those things were happening in a typical scene in this movie, you wouldn't even hear any of those background sounds that make that shot, if that makes sense. So I do sound average. Again, music, I only heard a few songs so far, and I haven't heard the soundtrack. This movie does have a soundtrack, of course. I haven't heard the soundtrack, but the few songs I heard are nice. And again, the cinematography is A1, including there was a couple shots towards the end when they go into like first person shooter mode. Between both of them, they both do it, and the camera's spinning and panning into from third person to first person. That was nice. It wasn't too long of a scene or too long of a shot, so it didn't feel like it was overly used or anything like that. So I did appreciate that. Appreciate the first person shooter scene altogether. And then I also appreciated that it wasn't too long of a scene to be like it was just overused. So I appreciated that. Next we get into the plot. So in this plot, again, the Bad Boys captain was murdered in the previous film, Bad Boys for Life. Right. So in this one, the plot is there's corrupt officials or corrupt police officers, corrupt police, let's just say, on the police side. And a previous captain was investigating who was corrupt on their side, doing dealings with the cartel. And clearly he must have found out a lot. And then you find out that him being shot in the previous film comes from or stems from that. Right. So they're kind of making him seem dirty. The people that's corrupt on the police side of things is trying to make the last captain seem dirty. Like he was money laundering and he was getting paid by the cartel and he was doing all types of wild stuff. Which I didn't understand, because if he's dead already, I can see if he was alive and trying to get you guys, but if he was dead already and none of this information is out that he got and didn't even get out until they started doing the stuff that they did, I don't see what was the point in them trying to plant dirt on someone that's passed away already. I kind of didn't get that part, but it's there. Will Smith, Mike Lowry's son, Armando, knows the face of the guy that paid him, which is working with the police side that's crooked, but he don't know his name. So then hitmen are trying to get Armando. He of course locked up already. They're trying to get, he was caught and locked up in Bad Boys for Life. They're trying to kill him. Will Smith finds out about it. Of course, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence is not gonna let the dirt sit on their captain's name. They get the son, have to get the son, try to move him to where they are, to a different level, prison where they are, or jail where they are, where they can protect him, where they can get the information from him to find out who's the bad people on the inside of the police force, or crooked people. Right. So that's the basic plot of this film. Right. They're trying to get the dirt off their captain's name and save his son at the same time. Right. Also, one plot is Will Smith's character, Mike Lowry, is no longer a bachelor. Right. He got married at the very beginning. Now, I will say this. Well, you know what? I'll save it for thoughts. So we're going to end that there at the plot. So that's the core plot of this. My thoughts, right, overall. I love the characters. I love the characters always in Miami. So that they character and their character types fit right in the Miami nightlife, especially with Mike Lowry previously being the bachelor and things of that nature. And then one thing I wish they did more of, but maybe the story never calls for, is because it's Miami, I would like to see more nightlife in Miami, right? But always is in Miami, always beautiful shots, water shots, pause if necessary. Always by the water, always beautiful views off the coast. You know what I'm saying? The horizons be nice. Sun go down. You see, it's like always kind of like not necessarily bright, but well lit. Even when it's dark, it's well lit. And then you always see nice cars driving on the streets, typically. So that's nice. And again, when the action scene hits, and you do get good or great cinematography and music with the sound, the amber sound that is. In those scenes, but the cinematography is great. The shots panning, the transitions, great. The character banter between Mike and Marcus is still there. I did like almost the flip. So normally, if you haven't watched the other ones, and for those of you who have, know that Mike is always the one that's like headstrong, shotgun action. And Marcus' character, which is Martin Lawrence, his character's always been like the voice of reason. Like, hey man, we got to tone it down, man. I'm a family man. I'm trying to make it home and things of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you trying to tell Mike or get Mike to relax and things of that nature. This one was a flip because Marcus had this. Marcus had a heart attack or a stroke towards the beginning during Will Smith's character's wedding, Mike Lowry's wedding. Where he kind of died for some seconds or some minutes or whatever the case is. He had what you would say like a revelation in his head where he saw the captain or whatever the case is. For long story short, he felt like he couldn't die. He was there for a reason and things of that nature. So throughout this movie, he was the one that was like living on the edge. And Mike, who didn't want to lose Marcus or anything else to happen to Marcus, was almost like the voice of reason. Like, nah, let's not do this. Let's not do that. I like that switch for a change. I did like really, really, really enjoyed that switch for a change. Me personally. Okay. So in that aspect, great. I do think it should have a higher rating than what it has now on IMDb, which is like a 6.7. I do believe it's way better than that. It's not a 10, but I do believe it's better than that. It's at least an 8. It should be at least an 8 to me. Now, what they did drop the ball at to me is the ending. the ending cuts a lot of things short. It doesn't elaborate enough on some things that happen or is happening. And I'm not sure what the actual reason is for that, but the ending is like they survive again, and then it drops off. I'm not sure. If you know the other ones, especially like Bad Boys 2, Bad Boys for Life, even at the ending scene where they survive, there's like something happening after that settles you to say like they got the pool, they're sitting in the pool, you know what I'm saying, and they survive and they're talking and they're enjoying life, right? That was like Bad Boys 2. Bad Boys 3 has the same thing, and here it's like right after the shooting scene, it actually ends at the shooting scene. Now there is an after credits scene for those of you who don't know, and it's way at the end, like it's at the very tail end of the credits. So if you go to the theaters, you will have to watch the entire credit scene, unless you just go online and then look for Bad Boys Ride or Die after credit scene instead of sitting there, because the credits are longer, right? So but it's like it ended at the shooting scene. It didn't like the Tiffany Haddish situation, who Mike Lowry character knows. Marcus knows of her, right? She kind of set Mike Lowry character up a little bit. They didn't return to her after this was said and done, and she set them up. They didn't return to her about any of that. They didn't do anything in memory of. There's spoilers. This is spoilers. At least a little bit. They didn't do anything for John. Not for John, but John Sally's character, who didn't make it by the end of this one. He had an art show and things of that nature, but they didn't do anything for him at the end of that. And after he passed, they kind of just kept moving on that note. Armando is kind of free now, illegally free. I'm gonna tell you this, right? Again, I don't know how long Will Smith and Martin Lawrence will continue to make these, right? They're both around the 50 age mark, 50 plus age mark. I would like to see if they pass the torch, or when the torch is passed, if it's passed. I would like to see, me personally, I'm gonna throw this idea out there, right? If they continue this, or do not necessarily a reboot, but just continue the line of Bad Boys, I would like to see Reggie and Armando as the Bad Boys together. For some reason, I like that dynamic. I think Reggie, I don't know if Reggie will have to lighten up or Armando will have to lighten up. They both kind of seem tough, and you don't want like a Miami Vice type of dynamic. But I feel like because their names are kind of around already, instead of us getting new characters and doing like some type of reboot or whatever the case that typically some people would do, take the characters that's already incorporated into the story, right? And who's shown that they have those police skills or detective skills as well, which Reggie showed in here, who was a U.S. Marine, right? Reggie went to the Marine after Bad Boys 3 or after Bad Boys 2, right? So you got Reggie, who's a Marine, and then you have Armando, who's like a supposed to be drug dealer, but I actually never seen him deal drugs. He's like a hitman for drug dealers. But they both show that they know how to shoot guns, do hand to hand. They should be the next group of bad boys. I'm just gonna put that out there for anybody. Now, will they work for the police? I doubt it, because again, Armando is on the run. But again, shout out to everyone. Again, I would give this like an 8. That's my thoughts. I would give this like an 8. Personally, an 8 out of 10. Be doing an 8, maybe 7.5. See, the ending is what's doing it. The ending is keeping it back. I'm gonna stick with an 8. Personally, I think, and this movie is like 2 hours and 15 minutes. Personally, I think it's the ending that dropped it for me to the 8. I think if it had a way better ending, it could be up at least a 9, 5, or 10. I think the whole 2 points is the ending for me. What I also miss is the driving scene as well. Now, if you know the other Bad Boys films, it's always like a driving scene, like a long, drawn out driving scene where there's a lot of shooting and things of that nature. If you know Bad Boys, you know they didn't have that. Comes on with a driving scene where they're trying to get to the wedding, but it's not like a high speed chase. It's just Will Smith driving fast so they can get to the wedding. But if you know, you know. I missed that. We didn't get that in this one, sadly. But that has been like a staple so far. I don't know if they noticed that or not, but it's been like a staple in the Bad Boys franchise, at least for me, in my perspective. All right, so again, I give it an 8. I do recommend it. Again, it's hard for me to financially support Will with this Quick Rock situation, but I will support Martin. So, in my recommendation, I will recommend for you to see it if you don't have the same problem that I have. Right? Or see it. Let me say it like this: see it however you want to see it. See it however that makes sense for you to see it. If that makes sense. This is what I'm saying. Read between the lines. Right? So I will recommend watching this. Right? With an 8. And with that, I'm gonna get out of here. Holding y'all up enough, right? So, and we at the 20-some minute mark. So I'm gonna get up out of here, man. Listen, Bad Boys, aka Ride or Die. Great watch, great listen, great action, great viewing. Family can't watch it even though it is cursing in this. Great banter, great laughter throughout. Nice action scenes, emotional scenes, a combination of all. Right? Go watch it. That's all I got to say. And make sure y'all subscribe to the Unjustified Behavior podcast. Make sure if you work for the post office or the postal service, let me say it like that, in any way, shape, or form, or you're a customer who wants to know, we also have a new podcast entitled Postal Blue Podcast. Go check that out. And you can also check out me and Coffee when we do iced coffee. Okay, we bring you our 3 podcasts a week, 3 shows a week minimum, and y'all make sure y'all go get that, man. I'm gonna try to do /we. I'm gonna try to do probably at least 2 reviews. I'm trying to get the 2 reviews a week just so I can build the catalog for you guys. So if you see something that we review or I review that's older, maybe some weeks older or some months older or whatever the case is, again, things that we've already seen, but we're also trying to build that catalog for you guys to watch or listen to whenever you out here working or doing whatever you're doing in life to get through. Okay. But it is a lot. I'm not going to only, or we're not going to only do current movie reviews or TV show reviews or anime reviews or animation reviews, but we're going to do previous reviews as well. You know what I'm saying? So if you got any recommendations for things you want to hear our thoughts on, you make sure you when you subscribe, wherever you subscribe in that you can leave a comment. We're also on YouTube under Amazing Studios. Amazing Studios, you'll be able to find all 3 podcasts, and they will have videos coming soon. They have videos now, of course, because it's YouTube, but they don't have where you can see us videos, which will be coming soon. Okay. Again, make sure you hit that subscribe button, man. Unjustified Behavior. Shout out Postal Blue Podcast and shout out Iced Coffee. I'm out.
Subscribe to the podcast for all future episodes and make sure to share with someone. We appreciate everyone, and there's a lot more to come.